So I've made my choice about a secondary collection. Some people might be annoyed by my choice. Let's see what I chose. Terrible vernacular. Welcome to PS2 Minigames.
PS2 Mini Games.
Hello guys, welcome to PS2 Mini Games. Time to talk about a secondary collection. Now, what do I mean by that? Simply put, when I get to a point where I'm struggling to find anything game-wise, accessory-wise, or anything PS2 related, I will basically start collecting for a secondary console. That way, I won't get like 2 or 3 straight weeks of finding nothing. Because if I learn anything from YouTube, people just don't watch people talking for like 3 weeks without showing things off. Especially for a gaming channel. People watch this channel for many different reasons, but obviously they're actually very curious to see if I can accomplish this. And I still think I can, but we will get to a point when that number gets higher that I will struggle to find anything, for the simple reason is that the items I still need to find will be very hard to find. It sounds so stupid out loud, but some people can't get their minds around that. So we're not at that point yet. In fact, at the moment I've got about 25 to 30 games either waiting or on the way in the post. So that's coming in the near future, hopefully. But we will get to a point where I'll have nothing, and I have nothing to speak about. So I've mentioned in the last 2 to 3 or 4 months that I have been thinking about doing a secondary console when that point occurs. Feels like we go around in circles. So to reiterate, this will always be the primary objective of this channel, and I will go as far as I can until I get to the point where I either give up, which really means I've done everything I can, or I have some kind of health issue. I hope that doesn't happen, by the way. Obviously, we'll keep going until it gets to the point where either I'm looking for the really expensive stuff I can't afford for like a year and a half. You understand what I mean. So anyway, the secondary console, I've mentioned it a couple of times, because I basically mentioned about 4 different things I'm thinking about. Dreamcast, N64, PS3, and I mentioned PSP in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've been thinking about all 4 different consoles / handhelds, and the pros and cons, and I came to this choice for personal reasons, and just the fact that it's not, how can I put this? It's not going to be as hard as this to collect for. In theory. I think a lot of people get disappointed with my choice because a lot of people wanted me to go PS3, but I thought that was a bit obvious. A lot of people wanted me to go Dreamcast, but I'll tell you the reason why I didn't choose that. I actually am going to do N64. And a lot of people look at me right now going, oh, for fuck's sake. Unsubscribe! Oh, my God. Let me explain. Oh, I'm putting things back here. Let me explain my choice. PS3 was the somewhat obvious choice after PS2, but there's a reason I didn't have a PS3 when I was younger. I preferred the Xbox 360, still a better console by the way, you can fight me on that one. I felt the PS3 missed the mark on so many things. I felt the fact the original price tag for the PS3 was still insulting to this day. I thought by the end of the console's lifespan it got there, but every time someone mentions PS3 to me, I just go, nah. give that feeling of, I can't explain it. And I was seriously thinking about doing PS3 for weeks, but every time I kept looking at it and kept looking at the catalogue of games, which I think is only like 1,200, so it won't be half as bad as this. I just couldn't get myself behind it. If you're not going to do something at full pelt, don't do it. You can't half-ass stuff, and you got to actually go for it. And then I thought, well, I can't do that. What about Dreamcast? And it's like, Dreamcast, the cases look cool. It's the last Sega console. Dreamcast is actually quite beloved till this day. But I was like, the cases kind of all... It's very hard to get a perfect Dreamcast case because they break, smash, that kind of thing. They're the most fragile of the cases. Trying to find some games for the Dreamcast is ridiculously hard. One of the subscribers, friend of the channel, actually said their friend has got a 4 Dreamcast collection that they're looking to sell if you got the money, and I actually thought, I mean, I could just buy a whole collection right now. But I was like, that's going to cost me thousands, and I just couldn't financially do it, obviously. because I can barely afford hundreds. That would have been the kind of cool factor. But once again, Dreamcast, there's a reason it was the last Sega console. It got destroyed by the PS2 because they, for some reason, didn't think of doing DVDs. I mean, Sony and the PS2, well ahead of their time with certain ideas. And the fact of the matter is, the Dreamcast just didn't have the appeal the PS2 had. That's why it lost. I think people to this day still say the Dreamcast is better than the PS2. Fair enough. For games it might be. For actual practicality it wasn't. But I still like the console. PSP was too obscure. And by that I mean, trying to find games for that would be actually quite hard. And some people would like go also get like the UMD, get like the films you can get for the PSP, that kind of stuff. Yeah, and apart from like Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Force games, which are amazing by the way, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, those games, you can play hours for those ones. In fact, right now I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Tag Evolution, which is basically Tag Duels 1 on the PS2. Just for funsies, and that's actually a shockingly good game. Apart from that, and apart from some Castlevania remakes, nothing screams to me, I must have this on PSP. Plus the DS is just a better handheld console, and was a better handheld console. If I would probably do DS before PSP at this point. So that left N64. Now, in the last 10 years, the amount of hatred for the N64 has actually, well, not hatred, dislike for the N64 has like massively increased. To the point in the last 3 or 4 years where I think some people are just disliking it because it's a popular thing to do. Now, this isn't a perfect console. Far from it, it was one of the worst consoles Nintendo ever made. Yet, I still love this thing. Yet, a lot of my childhood memories were playing this. This isn't my original one, by the way. My original one's in the other bedroom. This is the one I bought from Dave, Chungus Man, Tag Team Partners channel. Bought this from him like a year and a half ago with the controller and everything. So I thought you might as well get a second one because you never know when consoles are going to break. Fun fact: not one Nintendo console has ever broken for me. Every console I own every one apart from the Virtual Boy. I still have them. They all still work. Nintendo built to last. I have heard things about the Switches and by the Switch console, but mine still works. So, but yeah, they were built well. Obviously, the graphics were not brilliant, and obviously the kart-based formula was on its last legs at this point. Main reason why the PS1 was better because you can put so much more on discs, and Nintendo didn't think about that, and that's why that console kind of failed. I'd say it failed sales-wise, but games-wise, I can't say it massively failed. We'll get to that in a little while. Where it really failed, though, was to this day, some people say this is the worst controller they've ever used or seen. Now, compared to like a lot of the obscure, like small consoles with the massive controllers that sucked, yeah, you could argue this is the worst mainstream controller. And yet, to this day, I've never had any issues with this. I've always played it, used it quite well. Obviously, I think it's the design. You're supposed to hold like that. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. The C stick or the Z stick, yeah, I can understand why people hate that. The C button's too close to the A and B button. I can get that. Understand. But to this day, I've never had a massive issue with it. But some people absolutely hate this console. Also, a big reason for me collecting for this is I actually already own like 30 games, like cartridges from my childhood. I kept them all, and some of them are actually quite expensive games, so that makes it a lot easier for me in the future. I will go for boxed games with manuals because obviously you got to do boxed with console cartridges. But I will go for loose cartridges too because they're going to be more common. So I will try for cartridges and boxed games, which sounds insane, but it's an ambition. But once again, I need to put this out. Secondary collection. If I can't find anything PS2 when I go to a store, I will look for N64. Simple as that. It also gives me a much better chance of finding things actually in like shops and CEXs and gamer markets. Because in the last 2 to 3 months, there's been, apart from gamer markets, there's been very little of me actually going to CEXs and stuff. And I've Off the understanding that people prefer me to go shopping outside rather than basically ordering in, I get that. And I feel that, and I must be honest, the last 2 months I have been getting a bit, not bored to keep buying in, but it's not as fun on a personal level. So this also helps with that. Luckily for CX, because they do categorize N64, because they're all rarities. They do it with boxed, without manual, boxed with manual, and mint. So that kind of helps. Obviously finding boxed N64 games would be so much easier at gamer markets. And that was also another reason. There's so much N64 stuff at gamer markets, you have no idea. Not just games, I'm talking about like consoles, boxed controllers. There's still a lot of boxed items at N64 like at gamer markets. So that gave me a massive like boost of I can try and find this stuff. At the first gamer market, the first Norwich Retro Gamer Market, which was last year, there was a stand purely for N64 stuff. Glorious stand. Also, I think the N64 got better treatment for consoles than PS2 did in Europe. Because I mentioned there's four PS2 colours. There's so many different N64 colours, it's unreal. And controllers. Which I will be hoping to get, if you understand what I mean. Also, there's a lot less like bundled in stuff, which might sound like less fun, but actually it makes it so much more simpler. But the big point, and I'll have to Google this, but I think I'm right in saying this, definitely less than 500 games. It's either low 400s or upper 300s for how many games I have to find for the N64. There was not that many N64 games compared to PS2. So actually, theoretically, it should be easier. But as we know, it's not going to be. Obviously, there are some expensive games, mainly the Australian exclusives. I think, is it StarCraft, the really expensive one? I'm not quite sure, I've got to Google that. But there's like 3 top-end expensive games, then there's some games that are like in the low hundreds. But compared to this collection, it would actually be cheaper. Just going to throw that out there. But for childhood memories, obviously, I owned N64. I had 30 games. I played a lot of hours in N64. So, on a personal level, I want to collect for this. It was the console before the PS2 for me. Simple as that. We had a PS1 also, but I played N64 more than PS1. But the PS2 was... I had a GameCube too, but the PS2 got a lot more like play out of that, you understand what I mean? This appealed to me when I was younger, and it's still to this day. And we're going to go through all 30 games, or 29 games I still own. They're all cartridges, by the way. I kept no boxes, because I'm not clever. Simple as that. To show you what I currently have. And we'll go through like a couple of games that I know are expensive, but shouldn't be that hard to find. And we'll do that on the other side of this commercial break.
Slade and Jimmy Olsen have been kidnapped. Who will save the day? You are Superman. All the powers are yours. Flight, heat vision, super speed, super strength, freezing breath, and X-ray vision. Buy early and receive a DC Comics Collector's Edition Superman comic book. Superman, the new Adventures video game.
Welcome back. I'm almost certain there's a lot of people watching this right now who are disgusted with my choice. You need to understand this. It's not the best console, but it's one of my favourite consoles because of my childhood memories. Take that in. If I didn't play as a child, I probably would never touch the N64. But it's got appeal to me, and that's why we're doing it. So much so that when I was a boy, I managed to get 29 games, and we'll go through them one by one right now. Before we go any further, I must specify this right now, or just tell you like it is. Some of these games have been in storage for many, many years. They're a bit dusty, they're a bit dirty. Literally, they've been kept that way since I was a boy. A lot of this I can clean, simple as that, so I can get them back to what they look like. But at the moment, they're a bit dusty, a bit like gritty. Take that in, because obviously I haven't touched this in years, and I'm getting some memories. And some of these games, I probably will never play again, but I do own them. So, just take that in mind. Game number 1, F1 Pole Position 64. The 1996 season of F1. Graphics were not great. The gameplay was alright for the time being. Not as good as PS1 F1 games, but they had to do something, so and I was a massive F1 fan. 96 season was an interesting season. That was the year Damon Hill became world champion. Not a bad game. That's about it for that one. I think you could pick this up for like £2. I think it's like at the low end of N64 prices. So these are common as hell. This one. Follow that with F1 Grand Prix 2. Now, if memory serves, there was one in between this, like F1 Grand Prix 1, the 97 season. This is pretty much the exact same game, just 1 year later. Same graphics, same gameplay. It was alright, just like the original one. This is 98 season. This was when Mika Hakkinen was dominating. This is Mika Hakkinen's first championship. He won I think he was champion for 98 and 99. Then obviously Schumacher won in 2000 and dominated for so many years and bored everyone tits. Mika Hakkinen, by the way, one of the most underestimated drivers of all time. And quite a nice guy, I've been told. Now, I will look to replace this, but I technically own it at the moment. This is Automobile Lamborghini. As you can tell, childhood memories. This is a terrible N64 game about Lamborghinis. The handling sucks, the tracks suck. The music was alright, but besides that, it was awful. When you're a boy, you think things are cool. Now I tried it, it's terrible. Probably the worst game I own on N64. And considering some of the games you're going to see, that says something. Like the next game, Rugrats Treasure Hunt. Yes, this game actually, I would prefer to play this instead of the Lamborghini game. Just tells you how much that Lamborghini game sucks. This game's awful. This game gave me a vibe, because I think I played it for a little bit, like a puzzle game, aka like a board game puzzle game. This was not good either. I'm never going to play this again. To be honest, I don't know why I bought this when I was a boy. I really don't, but you make some weird choices when you're a boy. Star Wars Racer Episode 1. It's alright, it's alright. It's not one of the worst games I've ever played. It's passable. Very popular game. This is one of the most common games you can find. I think you get this for less than £10 these days. So this one is held up quite well. No like yellowing of the case or anything like that. So happy to have that game. Haven't played it in many years, so I'm trying to remember how good it was, but the fact I can't remember about it tells me it's not horrific, but it's not good. If you understand my logic. It's like wrestling logic. You either like you or hate you, but if they don't care about you, you're boring. So now we're getting into the games that either I've not misplaced or have memories of. International Superstar Soccer 64. This, made by Konami. Obviously, these games went to the early 2000s on PS2, probably better. The soundtrack for this is shockingly good to this day. Not that easy, by the way. I tried playing this just to see if I can remember how to play it, and I was getting my ass kicked by the AI. Also, your AI goalkeeper sucks. He will never catch the ball. He'll save it, but always like pass it out to them just to tap in the net. So the AI kind of sucks for you, but always works for the computer. It's one of those fucking games. Problem is, there was a meme about this many years ago, because there's 3 versions of this. Of the opening, right? The Japanese version, obviously the PAL version, I think that's, and then there's like, how can I put this? North American version. Well, I think there's 4 versions, because there's a Brazilian version, right? If people remember, it was like Ronaldo, I think it's called Brazilian fat striker Ronaldo. 1998, very good, but overweight. I think there was an opening in Brazil, and I think they've made it meme-worthy, where it's just the opening, and it's just like, and him voicing over the game terribly. I think he was like, Ronaldinho Salsa! Ronaldinho Salsa! And people have spliced that into random memes. And ever since I saw that meme like 4 years ago, every time I look at that game, I just scream out, Ronaldinho Salsa! Gotta love the South Americans sometimes. Game I played the hell out of when I was a boy, and apparently I didn't clean very well when I was a boy. Remember, I haven't played these games in literally about 20 years. Wave Race 64! This was actually shockingly good. I haven't got a clue what the hell happened to that back. That's clearly leaned on something. It's just repeat. Yeah, I'm gonna get a new version of this. But Wave Race 64, shockingly good game. The actual water graphics were all right for the time. They're terrible now. But the actual control felt decent. By that I mean you actually felt like the water was against you. That's actually shockingly good. People are like saying, Adam, you're absolutely wrong, that's a terrible game. These are memories, people. I'm not perfect. Some of these games I love, you're going to hate. That's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is.
Here comes a trio of sports games. NHL 99. I still play this occasionally to this day. This is a shockingly good game. Quite easy, but my favourite part of this game is because obviously in real life, in the hockey, ice hockey, the refs, okay, how can I put this? In all sports, when a fight breaks out, they try to stop it. Not in ice hockey. They let the fight happen, then they punish you. It's like, yes, let them. So in ice hockey, as I understand it, fights happen, and they don't happen very often, but they happen when someone takes off the gloves. That means the fists are about to fly. They throw to the ground. That means the shit's on, and they do fight. They do actually throw punches. They really do. And then the referee comes over. Okay, lads, you had your fun. You now gets a 5-minute box penalty because they box penalty in ice hockey. Also, I love ice hockey rules because there's so many different ways you can get like box penalties. What is it like? And this one is like 2 minutes for tripping, 2 minutes for icing. So it's like all these rules are like, unless you know your ice hockey law, they don't make any sense to normal people. But anyway, I mentioned it because you can actually get into random fistfights in that game. They just randomly trigger where you just play and suddenly it's like the shit's on. It's like, oh, and you got to throw hands. And it's like, best part of that game. NBA Live 99, also a shockingly good game, and actually plays shockingly well. I actually played 4 seasons in that, and if I can remember my team, because they used to do a draft, and you used to get the 5 players you used to use, and like subs, but you never use substitutions. You used to get the same 5 players, because in games they can go all 4 quarters, never get out of breath. I used to have Jason Kidd as point guard. Oh, good lord. I can't remember. I used to have a guy called Bradley. He was a tall basketball player. Oh my god, I'm trying to remember my team. Michael Jordan. This is when he was with the Wizards, right at the end of his career. Washington Wizards, by the way. Oh my god, who did I used to have? Latrell Sprewell! You can't forget a name like Latrell Sprewell. And they used to mix not boxes. Used to mix players. Vince Carter used to play with him all the time. Vince Sanity. I used to play about different players. Anyway, shockingly good game. One of the most underrated games. I don't know why, and I play the shit out of this. To this day, I play it occasionally. Nakano Winter Olympics '98. Only in the last 2 years did I actually win the campaign. And by that I mean, there was a campaign where you play 7 winter sports in a row and your points would accumulate. Basically like not a biathlon, like a decathlon of winter sports, if you understand what I mean. And it would be snowboarding, so downhill snowboarding. Then it would be 500 meter ice skating, into half pipe snowboarding, that's when you do all the tricks, into ski jumping. Then it's into ski acrobatics, where ski jumping, but they're doing like flips and somersaults while doing that. Then into bobsleighing, and then you would finish with downhill. Not slalom, just downhill straight. That's the 7 sports you used to do back to back. And, not even gonna lie, took me till like 3 years ago to actually finish first in that competition. Because I used to suck at half pike, because you had to put button combinations. And with that controller, that can be a pisser. Just gonna put that out there. But I've played the hell out of it. Also, this game, if you want to play other sports, has curling. I've seen people play 3-hour game of curling on this. Why? The most boring sport I've ever watched in my life. If you need a broom to play a sport, it's not a sport. It feels like a household task. Anyway, still a shockingly good game. We're going to keep going for these games. We're now getting to the better games now. Subjectively. Next one, Duke Nukem 64. Yes, the PS1 version probably is a far superior version. But I got on the N64. This plays reasonably alright. Still got the one-liners. Still Duke Nukem 64. Gets a pass. Depending on how you grade, this could be one of your favourite games on N64. but apparently I left this out in the sun too long. Yellowing. Diddy Kong Racing. Now, I've been told that Diddy Kong Racing is one of the hardest games to complete because the amount of stuff they expect you to do, and the last boss, where is it Whiz Pig or Space? I'm just gonna call him Space Pig. Actually, kind of cheats because the rubber banding and how much it's so hard to beat. You have no idea. Also, the elephant you meet feels like someone was smoking weed while making this game. But obviously, this is the first game you see Banjo in. This is the first game you see Conker in. And fun note, obviously, I think a lot of people know this. Originally, Conker was going to be a very happy, fun game. And then they tested it and people found it a bit boring. And then Rare went, you know what, screw it, we'll go the other way. And they made Conker into a complete arsehole who smokes, drinks, and causes issues. And people loved it. So much so that game's going to cost between £100 and £200 to get. No joke. Unless it's come down in price in the last 2 or 3 years. I can have to Google that. But while we're on Rare, Banjo Kazooie. Some people's favourite game. I'm not joking. Seriously. One of the best platformers on the N64. Better than Tooie, by the way. The original one. So much better. Yes, it really is one of the best 3D platformers. That's why when Banjo 3 came out, people were so devastated. Nuts and Bolts sucked so badly. They ruined the franchise completely. All they had to do was basically do the same thing, but make it bigger. But they were like, no, we must do something different. What a bunch of fucking idiots. You ruined the franchise. Simple as that. You could have made so much money. Just make Banjo free. No, let's make a racer and build our own racer. Once again, fucking idiots. Okay, next one. Yoshi's Island. Some people might like this game. This for me must be a massive disappointment following Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, the original game on N64. If you've never played Yoshi's Island on the N64 on the SNES, the original one, play it. Amazing game. This came, and if you know what you're doing, you could beat this game in half an hour. It's shit. I dislike this game intensely. They took such a concept. I bought this on holiday in Exmouth. I was on holiday, we were going shopping, this on the shelf, and I begged my mother to let me buy this. And she did. I got it home, like a week and a half later, because you don't take your console on holiday. I was so disappointed, you have no idea. Because I played it as like, this is it, this is all I've done. And I never bought a Yoshi game since. I refuse to. And there's probably been awesome Yoshi games on like DS. No, that ruined it for me. Disappointment set in so hard that day. Some people might go, it's an amazing game. No, for me it wasn't. It kind of sucks. We've got like 11 games to go through here, guys. Remember, once we've done this, and then we've got this again. So this is quite a marathon episode, but I need to show you what I've got. You understand? So bear with me. Let's do the wrestling games next. Let's go from worst to best. Hardcore ECW Revolution. Terrible game. So what happened was WWF at that point used to use Acclaim. They used it for Warzone and Attitude games on the PS1. Then they signed with THQ, was it? Not THQ. The people... Is it THQ? Yeah, THQ. It was THQ. And THQ made some amazing wrestling games. And ECW went, we'll take that contract with Acclaim. Big mistake. These games sucked. Same as WWE's games. They just weren't that fun to play. They really weren't. Speaking of THQ, the first game we got, WCW versus NWO World Tour. This was a good game. It really was. Still plays well to this day. Had an amazing roster, but we're just going to go past that because what that did, Revenge made so much better. Same game mechanics, just better roster. Some people still say to this day this is the best wrestling game on the N64. It's there. It's either this or No Mercy. Depending on which roster you were or which wrestling program you watched back in the day, both games are amazing. Still are to this day. WrestleMania 2000, not as good as No Mercy, still had a good roster. The first WWF wrestling game for THQ, very, very good game to this day. I do own No Mercy, but I get the sense that it's actually in my original N64 right now, because it's not with my other games, and that would be the most common game I would play just for funsies by myself. So I definitely do own No Mercy. Interesting note about No Mercy, most cartridges had a glitch. And I think some people have experienced this. Sometimes you have saves, and then suddenly your saves will just get erased. There was a glitch in most of the cartridges that erase saves. So if you got an early copy of No Mercy, your game's glitched, like mine. So you would literally like keep saving, and then it would like one random day, all your saves would be completely erased. And it happened too many times. Still a fun game to play though. We've only got like the hardcore Mario and good franchises left, except this one. Depending on how you grade, Donkey Kong 64. It gave us the amazing DK rap. I think this still holds the record for game with most collectibles in one game. I gotta put this, to beat the game, the amount of collectibles you had to achieve. I think this still holds the record for having most collectibles. It was insane, the amount of stuff you had to get to the 100% the game or beat the game. Also, if memory serves, they had to release it with a... is it the RAM pack? Not the ROM pack, there's a RAM pack. Every copy of Donkey Kong 64 got released with a RAM pack. And the reason for that is the game would not play without the RAM pack. Because there was so much information on the console, the N64 could not play it. So to compensate, they said they released a RAM pack with it. I don't know how much that cost to do, but I imagine that made the cost of it a little more expensive than usual. That's the Marmite game. People either love that game or hate that game. I'm indifferent. Not as good as the Donkey Kong Country games, but it's not a bad game. You understand where I'm coming from. Obviously, I own Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Many people's favourite game of all time. Many people say it's the best game of all time. I think Link of the Past is better. Come at me, bro. Amazing game still. Amazing game to this day. The graphics still actually look half decent for N64 standard. Remember that quote, by the way. Have never played Majora's Mask. That's one of the games I hope to acquire with this secondary set. Majora's Mask looks and sounds fun. Like the concept of it too. Bit dark, obviously, because everyone knows the story of Majora's Mask. But Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, obviously instant classic. Here comes a shed load of Mario games at you. Obviously the original Mario 64, the game that pretty much defined 3D platforming. They got so many things right with this. People cannot underestimate how important this game is to how games would develop over the next 3 years. So many people tried at 3D platformers, Bubsy, and failed. This one got it right. Obviously Crash, Crash was either before or after it. But so many people couldn't get it. They nailed it first time. The graphics have aged terribly, probably. But that is so important. And it really is still a fun game to this day. Strangely fun game, Mario Tennis. Obviously, the main point of this game, this was the debut of Waluigi. Because they needed an antagonist to Luigi. So they came up with Waluigi, one of the most uninspired characters of all time. But obviously, internet-wise, he's now like a walking, talking meme. Wah! Still a good game to play, though. Still pretty good to play. The original Smash Bros. Some people hate this franchise. I don't hate it. I love it, to be honest. I can't fight competitively. I'm not that good. I can't wombo combo. But the point is, the original game had a maximum of 12 fighters to choose from. This is where a lot of people learned who Ness was from Earthbound, because a lot of people have never played Earthbound. Still haven't played Earthbound, by the way. This is where a lot of people learn that character from. Plays well, and there's nothing like beating the crap out of Pikachu sometimes. Obviously, the legend that is Captain Falcon's Falco Punch began in this game. And people, to this day, some people go, all I've got to do is stand still and just punch you with a Falcon Punch. I will say, in games, I always try to master Captain Falcon. He's not top tier, but if you can master the Falcon Kick and all of the other Falcon moves, and just remember, he's a fast character, he's shockingly effective to this day. Obviously, standing still and charging up Samus's cannon is always quite fun, and just releasing a big blast into someone's fucking face, Stitch this Jimmy, and seeing them fly. There's something quite fun about that. But Mario is where I do quite well. For some reason, when you like charge up a punch, I can always do it with Mario perfectly to a T. And I just start doing another standstill, and suddenly I go, and Mario just likes to go, and you can see him glowing and like and they're coming at you. They realise they can't avoid this. It's like, flap. When you think about it, it is so comical. Some of these games, like in real life, if someone just starts to wait for it. Oh my god. Still amazing game to this day though. Obviously Melee's the best one. Only 5 games left, but I left these last for a reason. Mario Party. The game that hurt a lot of hands. For those who remember, the legend is true, that some of the games in this, including Tug of War, required you to basically twist the middle stick as hard and fast as you can. Now, for those who are really competitive, doing that, already I can feel the burn in my hand, right? And you can see like a small circular imprint in the middle there, right? That's my natural colour hand, by the way. I have different colours in my hand. So just do that. Yeah, you can see the white bit in the middle? People actually drew blood. People actually drew blood playing that game too hard. To a point when Nintendo had to release gloves and send free gloves to people who asked for them to play that game. Consequently, in the sequel, Mario Party 2, there were no games that required that stick. Tap the temple. Mario Party 2 so much better than Mario Party 1. Mario Party 1's weird because it was experimental. Mario Party 2, they got the formula down to quite a good pact, and they had costumes. Yeah. But the next game, and one of the most expensive games on the N64, and I got very lucky because I bought it as a boy, Mario Party 3, probably is the best Mario Party, period. I'm not even joking when I say this. They got the formula down perfectly. The actual, like, game boards were very good. You could speed up the characters and make the game go faster. They nailed everything down here. They really did. Being this is one of the last, I think this was officially either the last game or one of the last 3 games released on the N64. If memory serves, there's only 3 games released in 2001 for the N64. This, one game that will be coming up very shortly, and a Kirby game. And I think, I don't know if Kirby's expensive, but I know the game we're going to mention in a second is very expensive. But the point is, Mario Party 3 is very sought after. I think a box version is going to cost you between £200 to £300. I'm not joking when I say that, because I've got to find one. Fuck. But the fact I got the cartridge version makes it a lot easier, because some people pay £100 for that. Hilarious. The last 2 games, did we go through Pokemon Snap? I don't think we went through Pokemon Snap. If we didn't go through Pokemon Snap, because I've got it here somewhere. No, there it is. Pokemon Snap. Fun game to this day. I think you could beat this game in less than an hour. Still got novelty value to it. The fact they made a new Pokemon Snap 2 years ago to show how popular it was. But obviously Pokemon Stadium, still popular to this day. In fact, some Twitch streamers will still play this game. There was last 2 or 3 years, Twitch streamers took the gym challenge, where you would try to beat all the gyms with a set randomized team, and some people took like days to hours to do. I watch a lot of Ray Neves Jr. by the way, so his one's hilarious. But the sequel, which also got released in 2001, this is an expensive game. You're going to be paying well over £100 for this. Also a very good game. It has all the Johto Pokemon, also the gym challenge once again. Very, very good game. It really is. So that's all 29 to 30 games I own at N64. I used to earn Mickey's go-karting, but I sold that to Retro Chef before I made this decision. So we'll get that one back. It's only like a £10 kind of thing. So anyway, that's pretty much the secondary set plans. So I will own 30, so I've got to make a list, put it aside. The vast majority are not expensive, they're just hard to find. But once again, I need to reiterate this. PS2 will always come first. This is secondary for me if I can't find anything else when I'm going shopping. Anyway, thank you for watching this. If you agree with this, please comment. If you disagree, please comment, because a lot of people are going to disagree with my decision. But it's my decision. The ultimate plan, by the way, is to do one Sony, one Nintendo, one Sega, one Microsoft console. That's the plan. I did float the idea of doing all 4 consoles over this same generation, The reason I didn't do that, I didn't want to buy the same game potentially 4 times for 4 different consoles. I thought that was a bit much. Interesting though, I know I used to own GoldenEye, but that was not in the bundle, so I don't know where GoldenEye's gone, because I used to own it. Strange. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Please comment and subscribe. So you won't be seeing me collecting this for quite a while until we get to a point where I can't find anything. So it's going to be quite a few months where you must start thinking about this, but you never know. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you later. Bye.